we drove up on the campus at Florida School for Boys. It was a beautiful place. And I thought to myself, boy, have you found a home here. Little did I know what else was there.
The Florida School for Boys has been home to the state's juvenile delinquents for 109 years. The school has a history of brutality and has been called one of the worst reform schools in the country. Until last year, the outside world knew little of what may have been the institution's best-kept secret. Men, sentenced to the school as boys in the 1950s and 60s, began coming forward with hauntingly similar stories. They all spoke of severe beatings inside a small building called the White House.
As soon as they'd open the door, it just smelled like death. It had an odor that a person would never forget.
There was blood on the wall. There was blood all over the damn floor. There was blood on the mattress, and it was just stained.
Jesus, please take me out of this place. Mr. Hatton looked over me and said, that's right, boy. Give your heart and soul to God, but tonight your ass is mine.
They'd have you lay down on a bunk, an old spring bunk.
Now, they told you to put your head on the pillow. You grabbed the rail.
He'd go to take a swim, and the strap, paddle, whatever you wanted to call it, was really thick leather. You'd hear it hit the wall behind him as he was coming around, and then overhead, you'd hear it hit the ceiling.
And then the slap of the butt, pow!
The first hit raised me a good 2 feet off the bed. Well, that was one of 135. 135 lashes.
Don't you utter a damn sound, boy. If you do, I'll stop and we'll start all over again.
I laid there, I gripped the bed, I didn't scream, and in that 16 licks, they split my butt wide open. And then they would...
Marianna is something I've always been ashamed of. You got the hell away from there and you leave it there. Trust was just not a word in Marianna.
A boy could be sent to the school for anything ranging from murder to incorrigibility. Some were sent because the state didn't know where else to put them. Many left physically and psychologically scarred from the abuses of the staff entrusted with reforming them.
I think it affected me for my whole life. You put the stuff back in your head, back in your mind, and you don't tell nobody about it. You can't trust nobody. I could never show love to nobody because I wasn't loved, probably when I was growing up. You know, my mom always said that time heals all wounds, but this is a wound I think will never go away. I don't think it's ever going to be any closer to it.
The men's stories are all nearly identical, yet most had never met one another until recently. They mention the same places, similar infractions, similar punishments, and they name the same people as having punished them. Arthur G. Dozier, the former superintendent for whom the school is now named, Lennox Williams, another superintendent, and former disciplinarian R.W. Hatton.
There were usually 2 or 3 instructors that would take you in there.
This one person, never forget him.
Tidwell.
Troy Tidwell, one-armed bandit.
And Tidwell hit the hardest.
My mama could give a good ass whipping, but she couldn't give nothing like this.
And they would bet that they could draw blood on the first whack.
They enjoyed what they were doing. Party atmosphere. I can't believe Tidwell's still alive. That just blows my mind. I wouldn't be able to walk in a room with him. I've been successful in life, but I've been very aggressive, extremely, even towards my wife and my family. I've had to go to anger management school because of my temper. And does that have a part of it? You better believe it, my friend. You better believe it. Nobody can take a beating like that. How can you inflict that kind of pain on a kid? How could you even think of it? They didn't even do that to prisoners. This stuff should have never happened. Should have never happened.
Half a century after leaving the school, many of these men are looking back at their lives and feel that they are owed something. A lawsuit has been filed against the state. Governor Christ has launched an investigation into unmarked graves on the school's property. Arthur Dozier and R.W. Hatton are dead. The men's anger has turned to Troy Tidwell. His family and his lawyers say he spanked boys, but did not abuse them. Lennox Williams says the same of his own involvement. There's talk of book deals, movie deals, and of retribution. But how is someone to be repaid for a life spent in mistrust and anger?
If nothing else comes out of this, I'd like to see the name Arthur G. Dozier took off that school. Here's a man who was upheld as a great leader in juvenile justice, and I'm sorry I use the term, but I'm not sorry. The son of a bitch beat me. And not just him, he had predecessors, and he had some to come behind him. The state of Florida is ultimately responsible for a lot of young boys being tortured. The Tidwells, the Hattons, those people had to do what Arthur G. Dozier said to do, and he never said stop beating these kids.